Hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve, and hello possibly to Braden if he joins us live because he said he was possibly going to wake up early.
Yeah,
welcome.
in chat, so I'm going to rule him out. He's getting nothing from me.
Welcome back to Masks Monday. Literally, as soon as we came on, people suddenly realised that there's a different name for Phil, so that will be explained in a moment. But what we're going to do is we are going to jump right back in, basically to where we left off. So it's been about a week since you first got taken to hospital, and let's get Winston to do the summary first, actually, and then we can get the luck points out of the way, because I have not been keeping track of those. So let's do that first.
Okay, so last week, not a lot happened, but what did happen was pretty vile. It started pretty much as it ended, with a hospital visit. I was in hospital recovering from injuries, and the other three were visiting me. We then did some shopping and some last-minute messing about before heading to this lovely soiree at the Carlyle Mansion, where we were hoping to try and get the books that were in her safe. I tried to sort of charm and schmooze her, and that didn't work. And Francoise didn't have much more success. Arthur tried the direct approach and just asked her for them, which worked a treat. Just went in there, can we have the books?
Yeah, thank the elder gods you had me. Otherwise,
exactly. Yeah. So near the end of the evening, there was a huge firework display. Everyone went out to the fireworks, except for myself, because I was still feeling a little woozy from my injuries. And I cannot... Yeah. And I remained in the library. Whilst everyone was enjoying the wonderful firework display, it was suddenly interrupted by a few cultists. I resemble that remark. They were the group were attacked by cultists, along with a large sort of winged serpent, dragon-like monstrosity that had decided to attack because it was clearly invited to the all-you-can-eat buffet, but thought that the actual guests were on the menu as well. In fact, he showed a preference for them. In the course of that, Francoise was injured, as was Arthur. Phil's character, whose name I can't remember, was he took on this dragon-like figure, and sustained a great deal of injury to himself whilst setting off a firework at it. It sort of backed off. It didn't really die so much as backed off in a way because it got bored. I, along with several others, rather bravely and manfully, yes, bravely and manfully defended the library. The fact that no one came at us in the library is irrelevant. We bravely and manfully took it on. And the session the session sort of pretty much ended with a reverse of fortune where the other three. Yes, it was a firework, not a penis. Where the others were set to the hospital and I was visiting them. And we were discussing the books and which ones we were going to read and have a look through, and we were deciding what our next move might be. And that was pretty much what happened last week, apart from my valiant and brave defense, which is being...
Is that me or is that you, Francoise?
Good.
I'm going there.
Okay.
I'm going there.
Roll me a d4, Winston.
Hello, Michael B.
Hello, Michael B.
That is 2.
Welcome to the live show, Michael.
2 more luck for you. So let's quickly go through San and things, etc. As some of you lost quite a lot. Arthur, are you down to 62?
62 what? Sanity? No, I'm 58.
Yes. You're 58. Okay, so
I was 61, but I lost 3 because of the reading.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So,
and I'm at 5 Cthulhu Mythos points.
What about your luck, Arthur?
My luck is currently at 25.
Okay. Francoise, what's your sanity at the moment?
I'm sorry, Jason. I still don't have the bonus die anymore because I used it to dodge a big knife. So if you can cross that out.
You're so honest and kind. Francoise.
It is 73.
73, yep. And your luck is still 5?
Yes, it is staggeringly huge.
Humongous.
Like a certain person's firework.
Trust me, 5 isn't huge.
You would think this was a corporation game, the way this is going at the moment. Okay, and Winston?
At the moment, I am sitting with 37 luck.
Yep.
59 insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 Cthulhu Mythos points.
Don't worry about the Mythos points. For now, I don't need that.
Yes, but I do, so I'm proud to see it.
Oh, right.
It's a pissing contest. He has one more than me.
Yeah, it's not a competition. Okay, so
Well, shit.
Laughter aside, then. So so you've had time to rest and recuperate. Some of you have stayed in hospital, of course, a lot longer than others. For example, Francoise, you were sort of invited to be discharged fairly quickly, given whilst yes, it is still a little bit visible. You know, it's healed up fine. You can always sort of use a neck chief or something if you want to cover that area up. But on one morning, let's say on Monday the 26th of January, in fact, let me just actually double check because I think that's right. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Actually, no. Thursday before. Let's rewind back a little bit. Thursday, the 22nd of January. You're all sort of in hospital. Either you're visiting the others and things, and you know that Johann was taken into quite intensive care, but so far he's not kind of come back out into the ward, as far as you know.
Jason.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but wasn't the soiree the 25th? Because that's what I wrote down in my notes.
No, 20th. 20th.
All right, so I'm
Yeah,
just
she's
dumb.
doing it.
All right.
You are fired.
No, it's cool. Yeah. So
All right. Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's fine. So some of the doctors are sort of aware now who you are. You know, you've come in a few times to visit, and so on. And obviously, given what's been going on in the news as well, word has sort of travelled a little bit. But you are essentially visited by a doctor who sort of invites you all to sit down if you're not doing so already, and says, "I'm afraid I have some bad news about Johan. We have tried to do what we can, but in the end, there was just too much internal damage, and I'm very sorry, but we could not save him."
What do you mean you could not save him?
He was already in extremely bad shape when he arrived. He suffered many third-degree burns all over his face, his chest area, and we think some trauma to the brain, possibly.
Okay,
We're not
we
sure.
will move him to another hospital.
Ma'am, he's not coming back. I'm sorry.
Have
But
you
where is he gone?
contacted his family?
What are you talking about?
He has died.
Yes. At the
He
moment, we
died?
are trying to reach out to any family, but I don't believe he has.
Do not be
any in
ridiculous.
this
Of course
area.
he is not dead. After the things he has been through, you think that can kill him? Of course not. Now where is he? I will sort him out myself and slap him too.
He is currently in the morgue, ma'am. They're doing their final checks before, going down that route of sorting out a funeral. I understand this is very difficult to accept and take in. I completely understand that.
Would it be acceptable to you? I know it may be against protocol, but would it be acceptable if we saw him to say goodbye? I know we can always do so at a funeral, but it seems.
I will see what I can do. However, in terms of his appearance at the moment,
Hey, what have you done to him?
it was a firework, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes. He was incredibly brave and should be remembered in that way.
He cannot be dead.
If you need any support from us, then do let us know. But in the meantime, I'll see what I can do about if you want to see him beforehand. But again, given his appearance at the moment, it will be quite difficult to take in.
I understand.
So, obviously, this is sort of very heavy on your shoulders, and because basically you find out quite quickly that Johan didn't have any family, either in New York or even back in Berkeley. So really, it is you're the people. If you wanted to do anything like a funeral or sort out his affairs, obviously this is not the first time you've done this recently, but it would be you to do it.
We're getting quite good at this.
Dangerous people to know.
Well, you get a couple of phone calls because again, this does go sort of back out. Not back out. Sorry, it kind of comes fairly common knowledge. In fact, there's an obituary done the day after, which I can bring up. All approved by Phil, so I haven't put anything in that he doesn't want. So So it says Johann Brown, 52, died in the early hours of January. Oh,
Hello, I am full screen. I am no longer full screen.
died in the early hours of January 21st, 1925, while being rushed to hospital in Manhattan after suffering severe burns to his face and torso. His funeral service, let's say you have sort of organized something, will be held this Thursday following at New York City Marble Cemetery. Mr. Brown was born on July 12, 1873 in Bavaria, Germany, to Robse and Gerda Braun. He studied languages and linguistics at the University of Berlin before being conscripted in 1917. After the war, he continued his studies and gained a professorship, but then moved to Berkeley, California after the death of his wife. He leaves behind several diverse and like-minded companions who are currently recovering in hospital. He has no surviving friends or relatives. Oh, sorry,
He
family.
does have surviving friends, even.
I misread, I'm sorry. Family or relatives. Small text.
Shante.
I couldn't have written it better myself.
So yeah, I did write that like a week in advance, so I forgot about how I'd already decided when the funeral was going to be. But obviously, you've got Ramsey to help you with that as well, with all the sort of logistics and things. But yes,
Okay, we loot his corpse.
Oh no! Stephen's already Stephen's already on there saying they're going to loot his corpse.
Actually, I want to loot his bank account. He had gold reserves as well.
Stephen's already saying we're respecting nothing. We're only after his loot.
So, just to bring Phil in then. So, you do get a couple of phone calls, obviously sort of offering condolences. One from Jonah, who is going to actually come and visit you next week. But interestingly, you get one from Erica, who again must have heard on the grapevine. But she says, obviously she's very sorry to hear what happened. But she has got in touch with a contact of hers who was also at the party, although obviously whether you cross paths or not, you're not sure because you don't know who this person is. Someone who could potentially be of interest to you in helping you on your endeavors, given that he's an explorer and experienced in that line of dealing with things. So she gives you details for somebody called Perry Astor, and essentially she said that Perry's been sort of given a couple of nights in a nearby hotel as goodwill.
Oh, very nice, knighthood.
So it would be a case, Phil, of would you sort of wait for the investigators to get in touch with you, or would you sort of seek them out?
If they don't contact me, I might go to the funeral.
Okay.
Maybe meet them at the funeral.
All right. Cool.
At least
Why
we already
did
have
you do
clothes
then?
for this one.
I know,
Next time I will pack them with me.
Yes. Okay. So let's then skip ahead to the funeral.
Have you had any luck with these books? I have been pulling my hair out. The fool who wrote this could not write in proper French. It is like he was writing it hundreds of years ago.
He probably did.
I know, I figured that out. I'm not an idiot.
I have had, well, the I have had a quick skim over this book. And one thing immediately came out through reading it as he gets to the page with my stuff on it. The Life as a God. It's essentially an autobiography of Montgomery Compton. He's he started as a sort of explorer, soldier, artist. Whilst he was in Egypt, he was wounded. He remained in Egypt and was inducted into a secretive cult that worshipped a mythical figure known as the Black Pharaoh. That was supposedly rumored to have mystical or divine powers.
That is true of all pharaohs. They're all black and supposedly mystical.
As a cult member, he witnessed and participated in acts of torture, murder, rape. He returned to Britain in 1805 and settled near Liverpool, where he and a number of other converts attempted to replicate the cult there. I mean, Crompton, most of his writings, it has to be said, were while he was incarcerated in an asylum. And not necessarily, given that it's the ravings of a lunatic, I'm not sure how much we can set store by. However, it occurs to me that if we were thinking of traveling from here to England to follow up on our leads in England,
there is another cult, is what you're saying.
Well, the boats from here either go to Southampton or to Liverpool. If we happen to get one that goes to Liverpool, I suppose we could look into this Crompton fella to see if there's any evidence of this supposed cult before we head down to London.
Well, I have a suggestion. Is this time we will kill them first before they start killing us?
As much as I am against violence in all its forms, I have to violently agree with you.
Exactly. I mean, it is England. It's not even a civilized country. Sorry, Arthur.
That was just too meta.
And still I'm not.
The English person.
Still, I'm
Yes.
the only one not affected by this quote. I'm the only one not affected.
But you're playing the Englishman.
Yeah, I do.
The only one.
In fact, I'm not replying to the French girl saying this.
That was supremely meta. But it occurs to me that if we are going to England and if the boat goes to Liverpool, it may be worth our while seeing if there's any sort of substance to this man's ravings.
In my experience, it absolutely will be substanced.
Still, given what I read, I believe that England is the only suitable place where we should be going. Also, because my book wasn't actually focused on any specific place rather than Egypt as a whole. So I believe that we should focus on more focused evidence, if that makes sense to you.
Now, I would ask Johann, but he had the indecency to die on us.
Very inconvenient.
Yes. So, speaking of which, obviously you have a bit more time to talk about this, and of course you're sort of deciding 100% whether you want to go to England or not. But the funeral happens. Essentially, similar sort of people who came to Jackson's, because you've all kind of got to know each other a bit. You notice actually that Hilton and his wife are there, Obviously upset about what's happened, and they feel very indebted that Johann essentially died to help save them. But before we introduce Perry, is there anything that Phil, as say a vicar or pastor, wants to say about Johann as a final goodbye?
During his during the funeral, the vicar will just we're gathered here to say farewell to your friend. Obviously, he's not one of my parishioners. I didn't know him, but I talked briefly with the dean at Berkeley. He said he was well liked there and very professional. As his friends, you obviously knew him better than anyone else, certainly currently in the United States, but by the sound of it, probably in Germany as well. And I am sincerely sorry for your loss. You can take great comfort in knowing that he has moved on to a much better place.
After the things he has seen, I find it highly unlikely, I say to Arthur. And I will not rest well when I die.
No, he has gone to a better place.
Yeah. They have.
He was killed by a fucking dragon. I mean, seriously.
He died a hero.
If you're going to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go, if you're going to go out, get
with a bang.
Get killed by a dragon.
Technically, it was a firework.
Trying to fire fireworks at a dragon.
But yes, they've kept the body covered. In terms of sort of seeing him, I'll say that yes, you were able to get a little look, but to be honest, it wasn't a particularly nice sight. Lots of burns, rigor mortis was setting in. It wasn't pleasant.
His beard's all burnt.
Oh yeah, but that's the least of his problems at the moment. But in terms of who else is there, there is a gentleman whom you've not seen before, who you assume to be this contact of Erica's. So, shall we introduce Mr. Astor to his new team?
Yes. I'll walk up behind the group as they're walking away from the graveside and say, excuse me, friends, I understand you are friends of Mr. Brown.
Yes, and who are you?
My name is Perry Astor. I've been asked to contact you by Erica Carlyle. I was actually at the party you were at.
You're the interested party.
Yes.
How interested are you? Because honestly, this is our second funeral in 2 weeks.
We aren't trying to necessarily dissuade you, Mr. Astor, but you must understand that what we seem to be embarking upon is very literally perilous.
So I understand. Miss Carlyle has explained in brief details.
That was not an intended pun. That was not. I just realised why you.
I completely missed that. What did you say?
Yeah, me too.
What you're about to embark on is currently perilous.
Oh.
I missed that.
That was not intended. I was literally saying it was a perilous journey. I wasn't going for the pun.
Unintended.
Well,
I mean,
anyway.
even in the chat, I tried to stop myself from making an obvious pun.
Oh, perilous! Brilliant.
Oh dear.
Would you like to describe a bit about what Perry looks like, by the way?
Perry, yeah, he's fairly tall and thin, moustache. He's Canadian, actually, so you get that Canadian accent coming across. He's very outdoorsy, so he's got quite a tanned complexion. Wears fairly basic but rugged sort of clothing, so he usually wears his shirts open, no ties. Probably not an expensive jacket.
So you say he wears his shirt open?
Not just the first couple buttons, not all the way. Not
Right,
all-
okay.
1925, you know.
Very
Oh,
different mental
boy.
image, okay.
Gold
Well, they're probably
medallion,
quite ripped under there.
Not quite that bad.
hairy chest and gold medallion. Just, silk
Not Mr.
shirt.
T.
Well, that's the bare minimum.
He's Mr.
I was thinking more John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. I was thinking for the whole disco look.
If he takes his hat off, he's got quite unruly hair, quite a wiry hair, and quite
Please
untidy.
put that back on. Thank you.
Not much chance to have a haircut.
Either way, nice to meet you, Mr. Astor. My name is Dr. Dibden. Arthur, you can call me Arthur.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Dibden. Yes, Miss Carlyle has taken personal interest in the
What?
accounts at her home, and she's very concerned for your safety.
How bad do I still feel, Jason?
Bad.
Why the
Yeah,
fuck
I
are you
assume-
laughing, guys?
I
What did I
assume-
say?
I'm sorry, it was your accent. It was like, okay, Mr. Astor.
Yeah.
Guys, what the fuck? Come on.
Sorry,
Give me a break.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Between me seeing Perilous and you seeing Astor, we're doing well tonight.
You should be grateful I'm not talking at Super Mario. I'm
No.
actually trying.
Bring it.
Yes, you're doing so well. In regards to you and Winston, so you both still have a major wound.
Yeah.
So obviously, going to a funeral is an exception, and you're not intending really to do much else this week.
Nope.
Because again, you're still recommended to rest as much as possible. So I'm not going to penalize you for going to your friend's funeral. But yeah, so basically, each week you'll get a chance to do like a con roll to see if you get any more hit points, or if you even can untick the major wound at all. But for the moment, if you do anything too physical, you're going to get complications and things. So you're not feeling 100%, but you've been on like meds and stuff. Yes, so Jonah actually does kind of hobble up to you as well, and again offer his condolences. Such a terrible thing that happened. I am so sorry, given everything that's happened already. This must be very, very hard, but I've got a little bit of good news. Whether you intend to move on from here and follow on with Jackson's mission, I suppose. I've got another possible lead for you in England.
Oh,
Yes, I
Is it?
did. I did reach out to him beforehand, but he's taken a while to get back to me. He says he's been affected quite badly by Jackson's death. They knew each other quite well. His name is Mahoney, Mickey Mahoney. He works for a newspaper called The Scoop. Interestingly, he specialized in slightly weirder, more sort of horrific sounding newspaper articles. So right up your alleyway.
And what about him?
Well, in case you wanted to speak to him, apparently Jackson visited him to see if he can, well, in terms of what he wanted to do whilst he was in England.
I see. So he may have some information of where our friend was
Precisely.
sniffing around.
Right.
Very
Worth
good.
going to see.
Whereabouts is he based? London or Liverpool or somewhere else?
Oh, London.
London.
Well in the centre of London.
Ah, the infamous Fleet Street.
I don't know if he's on Fleet Street, but I believe nearby, actually. But
Down at Mac Alley.
he fumbles around and looks for a card. And yeah, it's nearish to Fleet Street. It's in that sort of area.
So not an actual journalist.
Oh, he is a journalist. It's just that his interests are quite niche.
Jesus.
Becky, you're on a roll tonight.
Thy barbs are cutting this evening.
Oh, all right. So he's a fraud. All right. So you said
Absolute
that
control at all
he
times.
is more on the macabre side of the journalist
Yeah,
spectrum.
yeah. He likes to write about the macabre, but the actual paper itself, he's got a quite large team. It's still a proper newspaper.
I'm writing
But,
this down.
in-
It's a proper newspaper. All right.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
a joke like Francoise was hinting.
from what I know. But in terms of information, Mickey's your guy. He'll know everything that side of the Thames.
Okay.
All right. So I believe
think
that if we had any quarrel about where to go, I do believe that as of now, more of our clues point to the old continent.
Yes, we will travel to England, I think. And I think a boat journey would do you too good. Perry, would you like to join us on a voyage to England where we shall explore the uncivilized lands?
Yes, I certainly would. That was my intention, if you would allow me to join you.
Well, of course, we need, how do you say, fresh blood.
Fresh bodies.
As I was saying, Miss Carlyle is taking some serious interest in this now, with all that happening at her house, and with the death of someone at her house, and I understand, investigating her brother's expeditions.
Yes, well, let us bring you up to speed over many drinks and a couple of meals.
That sounds good.
I mean, Johann was like one of sort of 50 casualties, as the newspaper says. So it wasn't just him, but obviously she knows that you knew him. So
yeah, so we'll
died.
So I take it. I'm saying this as player. We're all pretty much set on England being the next stop then.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are quite literally on the same boat.
Nope. Good. Okay. Yes, Perry. We're literally going to do that when you're going to do the development place. I thought I'd just leave it until. Do not worry.
Which means when we book passage, because as I say, the standard is either they go to Southampton or Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, there are two different ocean liners, but in terms of getting to Liverpool, that's very easy. You want the Cunard line, York to Liverpool. It normally operates a few times a week, so no issues whatsoever.
It's up to you guys. Do we want to hit London first and then do Liverpool afterwards, or do we want to land at Liverpool, check out the possibility of this book, and then hit London?
The Cunard goes to Liverpool, just to clarify. In terms of ships to Southampton at the moment, they're a bit more irregular this time of year.
All right, so I do understand that it or Liverpool, basically.
Yes, you can have Liverpool or you can have Liverpool.
Unless
if
you
you
want to
like,
wait
you can have
another
Liverpool.
couple of weeks.
All right, so Liverpool or Liverpool.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're all happy to go to Liverpool?
We'll do that, and over the next couple of nights, we'll have some meals with Perry and bring him up to speed, and we'll show him the recordings of our sessions to date.
Yeah.
Very handy. Yes.
Still, the 4G in the middle of the ocean, I think it's shit.
Our handwritten shorthand, where we made detailed notes of our journeys. Give Perry as much information, so much that he may actually rethink his life choices.
Okay.
You
I think also we should have a new group photo. So I will take a photo of us all.
Oh, awesome.
Another piece of paper to cry on when some of us dies next time.
Yes.
It
Hey,
is so
I
next
thought
time I remember what they look like.
I thought that was a really nice touch.
It's handy because you can cross them off as you go, can't you?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What was I going to say? So before you go, Hilton and his wife Millie do sort of deliberately get hold of you to offer their utmost thanks and gratitude for what you've done. You've saved Hilton's life. You've saved him from a terrible way to go as well.
Yes, we are 1 for 2 now.
You know that they are absolutely overjoyed, and they're sort of giving, you know, they ask how they can repay you, if any.
We do not need your money. I have more, frankly.
Yeah, I do believe that there's nothing that you can give us. Your gratitude will be more than enough.
I turn to
But-
Hilton.
Oh, there is one thing. You can keep Harlem clear of cults.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's one good thing he can do for us.
I will certainly endeavour to keep an eye on things.
Yes.
You heard the news, I suppose, about the leader. He's now been arrested, presumably on the way to death row. There was another man who was sent to an asylum, from what I've heard.
Yes, the man at the Giorgio house.
Oh, right.
He was a nasty piece of work.
Piece of work.
Yeah.
Yes.
I say to Hilton, yes, I believe Francoise is absolutely right in her advice about staying away from cults. I think that is exceptionally good advice that I wish we could take. But rather than pay us back, I would rather you pay it forward. Watch out for your friends, your neighbours.
Yes, keep Harlem clear of cults.
This cult can be insidious. If you see any signs, see if you can help them the way they helped us. The way we helped you.
Well, yes. What is good is that the police are now finally on our side. So yes, we will continue, you know, the neighborhood watch, as it were. But any sniff of anything, them getting back together or regrouping, and we will be on them.
Speaking of the police, I actually want to track down, what's his name, the old captain of the 14th.
Robson.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, I was looking for that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty easy to obtain his address.
Okay.
And he, if you didn't read the newspaper, he is currently on paid leave.
Mm-hmm.
So
Of course,
yes,
it's paid as a policeman.
yeah, I deliberately put that in. So yeah, you find him at his home, just out of Harlem, near the river. When he opens the door, go on.
Just to clarify, he's not the one that's went to the asylum.
No. So Silas went to the asylum. Makunga was arrested, and then Poole and Robson are the cops, and they're both fine.
Yeah.
Ish. So
incredible.
Boom. So yeah, he's quite surprised to see you.
Yes.
Is a little bit sheepish, shall we say? He's got a cup of coffee in his hand. Oh,
I was hoping we could have a talk.
If you wish.
Oh, I do, and therefore we are having the words we must exchange.
I have went back to my hotel room. I'm still feeling
I do
Yeah, yeah,
believe
of
I just
course,
went
yeah.
back to the hospital or to
Yeah.
wherever I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially Winston Arthur.
I would have gone with Francoise then, just to.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to accompany her, that's fine. The lady by herself.
I can handle this, man.
I,
So I should protect him from Francoise then.
the problem is I'm very good at protecting libraries. I'm just not as good at protecting French women.
You're really good at protecting furniture. Yes, we can give you that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So he lets you in offers you, coffee.
I don't think I'll be in long enough for coffee, and you Americans, you make it with milk and yeah.
Well, I normally have it with cream.
Exactly. Disgusting. So, you now just remind me, he was actually at the final shootout, wasn't he, with the dragon?
Yeah, he actually glanced at you at one point. You kind of met eye contact,
yeah.
but yeah, he shot
So-
everyone up and helped you.
You turned over a new leaf, it seems.
Well, you probably saw my statement in the papers, ma'am. As I said, mistakes were made.
Yes. So, you have are no longer on the payroll of the cult. The cult is no more.
They appear to have been disbanded. The leader is behind bars. The shop owner has gone completely up the wall, so he's in an asylum. So any other sort of activity at the minute, my boys are cleaning up. But no, any sort of transactions of that nature have been stopped indefinitely.
Good. I have people in Ireland. I will be keeping an eye on you. So,
That's
from now
fair
on,
enough, ma'am.
you will be doing a good job, or I will finish the job.
Well, if
And
I'm...
I do not need to show you bodies of dead women.
No, I know. If I'm really honest,
You'd better be.
they kept their activities fairly well concealed. I had no idea the sheer scale of what they were actually doing until it all spilled over. Thanks to you. Thanks to you, of course. You should be proud of yourselves. You've done Harlem a great service.
And I will be checking on the service you do Ireland in the future. I'm watching you.
Well, it's
Oh.
not gonna be me for some time. Lieutenant Poole is finishing everything off for now and settling the case. In terms of who's going to take over, Captain, I don't know what's going to happen with that yet.
So, let us pray we never meet again.
He sort of shrugs his shoulders.
Au revoir. And I'll leave.
Okay, he doesn't stop you. So, cool. So, final chance. Is there anything else you want to do whilst this side of the Atlantic?
No.
Get hold of Johann's estate.
I think we might get some of his estate, although I think the first bit of it is going to go towards his funeral costs.
Specifically, though, the bits that does concern me is the books, and we need to make sure we get those like immediately.
And
Yeah,
there's the headband as well.
The headband, yeah.
I still believe that I will try to spend as much time of my convalescence. Is that a word? I don't know. In Italian it is.
Yeah.
to read the last book that it's left unread, the
Oh,
Narcotic Manuscripts.
actually,
Yes.
you mentioned the headband.
Mhm.
Johann was wearing it.
He
He
was.
was wearing it. Yes.
So
Maybe
I got
That's a very good point.
yeah, but it wouldn't have been.
Police will have it in storage because it's evidence.
Book it.
Either that or it's in the hospital. So I'll check with the hospital first. Because I also need to get his books. So his possessions hopefully are still.
Hopefully it's all of them, but if he was wearing it at the time, it means the coroner took it off him during the autopsy.
Yeah. And according to that roll, yes, he did. So the coroner still has it.
Well, thank God.
Okay, so yes, I've come to pick up his things.
So there was that was on his immediate person as any sort of loose change that he had. There was indeed the last book, the Narcotic Manuscripts, which nobody has read so far. Of course, you are invited to do so.
Didn't he have another one at his hotel? No, he didn't. He only had the one book, didn't he?
No.
Okay, so I've got the book and the headband.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I assumed
Alright.
that the other stuff you picked up from Giorgio House, you kept that all.
Yeah. We got all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
So yeah, in terms of his assets, it's going to take a little bit of time, given you're obviously not blood relatives and things like that. So it's going to take a while, but at least you do have his immediate possessions.
I'll register my claim with a lawyer and leave it at that.
Well, again, Carlton's happy to help with that.
Yeah, there you go.
Bring a lawyer in.
So, when we have our next meal with Perry, then I shall add in this book and I say, "Welcome to the insanity that will be your life now."
What are you expecting me to do with that? Sorry.
Well, read it, of course. I am already studying a book. There are lots of books. This is how it works. We do research. But sorry, did you want just your dick to swing in the breeze?
No, it's not that. It's never been one of my strong points, I'm afraid.
Oh my God.
What reading?
You're unbelievable, Becky. You are unbelievable.
Trying to keep a straight face here, thank you.
To be honest, yes.
But you don't read.
You can't read.
Dyslexic.
You're what? Sick?
Dyslexic.
I mean,
So
technically,
dick
that
does not-
diagnosis doesn't exist at the time, but
He
yeah,
is.
you find it very difficult to read.
It'll mean as much to me as a French book.
I have a French book. You want that? With swap books?
Under the circumstances, I will skim this particular volume and glean what I can from it.
You just want more to the points than I have.
Damn right.
Okay, I don't read books.
It's all about the Cthulhu points. It's not the loot; it's the Cthulhu mythos points.
So was Erica just trying to get rid of you?
What are your particular attributes? What are you good at?
I'm an explorer, an outdoorsman.
I thought he was asking about his physical attributes, and I said, "What the fuck?"
Well, I just figure after Francoise asking him if he just wanted to have his dick in the breeze, I may as well find out.
Do you want that in metric or imperial?
Oh God! I must say, I'm impressed you've made it to 10 sessions before completely corpsing.
I just wanted to know if it was going to be a mild gust of wind that would take it off, or it would be a stiff breeze.
If you need someone to keep you alive, that's me. But
What, you are a doctor?
No, if you won't need a doctor.
Well, thank you for putting me out of business.
We won't need a doctor.
No, I'll take care of all those sort of those issues for you.
So
I'm
you're a
experienced
nurse?
in leading expeditions into the jungles of South America.
Which will be extremely helpful as we go through the streets of London.
We've done expedition in South America. There were books.
Books.
There was also a temple full of gold. We should tell that story tonight over dinner.
I did hear about the expedition actually you went on, but it was I didn't make it in time to be on that expedition, but I did hear about it. It was a very interesting idea finding that pyramid, but
what?
I was busy further south actually at the time. It'd been
You
an
set off
interesting.
without him.
Yes, it was been an interesting expedition to be on, but
So you are a man of action, is what you're trying to say.
that is true. Yes. I was born up on a ranch in Calgary. Always liked the outdoor life, so always been an outdoors man. So I left the ranch and went exploring myself.
So you do understand how this is going to divide up. Myself and Francoise will be mostly in charge of research. Arthur will be mostly in charge of healing wounds, and you'll be mostly in charge of being in front of us when something bad happens.
Yeah, but that's part of the job as expedition leader. Yeah.
Oh, you're the leader.
Now of an expedition, what I used to do. He was always out in front.
And when I say out in front, I'm saying a good 6, maybe 10 feet in front of us, just to really give us some distance.
To be fair, he's no match for any of you in terms of fighting.
That
You got
doesn't
yourself a
reassure
tank.
me.
So it gets to right. What date are we on now? 29th of January was the funeral. So let's say the next boat is the following Monday.
Well, they take quite a while, don't they? Is it like
Yes,
several weeks?
Not several weeks. Don't worry, I've got it all in front of me. So
Okay.
So is it the 3rd of February?
It is the 2nd of February
Second.
when you set off for England. So basically, depending on how decent the weather is, it's going to take around a week to get to Liverpool. So conveniently, development phase, you've got time to heal up a bit. You've got time to do some reading as well. So before I forget, let's do the 2 con rolls for Arthur and Winston, given they've got major wounds.
Right, when you say 2 con rolls, are you saying 2 con rolls from each of us, or?
No, as in 1, yeah, so 2 in total, 1 each for you. It's been another week.
I'm being hopeful.
That's 49 out of 50.
Okay. Any extreme passes?
No, definitely not.
No, not you, obviously, not 4950. How about you, Winston?
I think he's got worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Another funeral.
All I can say is I don't have enough luck points left
Okay.
to augment that roll.
Okay.
I rolled 95.
Well,
Right.
you're on a boat, so we can't make it a cremation.
No.
Yeah, that would be more.
Funeral at sea?
No, a backing funeral. Yeah, we put you in
We're
the
on the boat.
Just wrap me up in bandages and throw me off the edge. Yeah,
That's the idea.
all good. It's all good. If I'm really lucky, I'll get caught in the turbines and just
How much is your overall con again, Winston?
my con
Yeah.
is 55.
Okay, cool. So not a critical fail. That's good
Thank
to
you.
know. So basically, you don't get any sort of extra HP or anything like that. Arthur, you get another D3 hit points recovered.
All right. So I roll a d4, just not counting the 4. That's a 1.
No, it'd be
Amazing.
a D6.
D6. All right.
D6, and then you do 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
Well, it doesn't matter. A D4 re-rolling falls is the same thing.
I'll do that again. Maybe I get more. That's a 3. Yes.
Go on.
Yes. Thank you, Jason, for changing.
So you get
1, 1.
Yeah, no worries. Right. So, have you, in terms of your current HP now, are you half, like over half or more, or are you still
just under the middle, because I got 13 max and I'm at 5.
Okay. Just making sure. Yeah. So you still got your major wounds ticked, but you might be able to rest a bit in Liverpool as well. Again, depending on how long you want to stay. Okay, cool. So let's do the book next, and then we'll do the sort of development phase and get all your skills and stuff. And I've got a plan for you as well, Perry. So don't worry about that. So the Narcotic Manuscripts. So now that you've had a good chance to get a good look at it, Winston, so it's difficult to read. It's basically Middle English. More sort of later as opposed to full medieval English, but it's still very archaic, and therefore it's hard going, this book.
It's all right.
Can you give me a language English roll, please?
That is a hard pass.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Right, so in terms of what it looks like, so it is quite a large manuscript bound in pale green leather. There appears to be some sort of pentagram-like symbol seared into the heavy bindings.
You're going to post this up as well, aren't you?
Rather than me having I'll do that after the session, though, as it'll take a bit too long. In fact, you just get it from here as well. But you have basically passed the skim roll, so that's all good. Is it obviously in English? Basically, it's 5 different bindings of manuscripts that have been kind of compiled together and put into one book. Again, you're not quite sure how old it is, but you think it may be around 15th, 16th century, an educated guess, given you're an archaeologist. Basically, it looks neat. It's been done very carefully, this book. Also, you notice some pencil annotations in modern English appear frequently in the first third of the work, which you think possibly could be Roger's, given he was the last person to have this book, or, if it was possibly given to him by somebody else, it could be theirs, but you don't know. You've never seen his handwriting before. In terms of what it contains, it is a translation of a series of unknown documents called the Narcotic Manuscripts, which appears to be manuscripts that were... You what, sorry?
Narcotic. Spell that, please, just so I've got it.
Yeah, narcotic. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The manuscripts were apparently brought to the West around the time of the fall of Constantinople in 1453. It definitely seems to be that these are not the sort of the only translation either. A bit like the Bible, there's sort of Greek translations you think that were before then, and so on. But essentially, it's a load of myths outlining the history of various different kingdoms and civilizations on Earth before the rise of man. It talks about like various races in residence on Earth during the ages before man, the actions of various legendary figures, a myriad of inhuman deities, even that were worshipped by these entities. It talks about things like the so-called city of Narcotic, as well as various other civilizations, and it all comes across in very mystical text, but in a very fragmentary form. This. So, I will obviously put that up after the session. You also notice, in terms of reading these sort of pencil scribbles and footnotes and things, it talks about a place called the City of the Great Race. And you also see notes which you think might be either a prayer or even something like a spell that says contact Yithian. However, in terms of learning that will take a long period of time. You think in terms of full study, this book is going to take maybe nearly a year, possibly, to do it properly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a big term. However, for now, you get 3 mythos points.
I'm not as big as you yet.
Nope. And unfortunately, you lose 7 insanity or 7 sanity points from reading this tome.
That's because mine isn't as big as yours. That's why I've lost the sanity.
Once you've done that on your sheet, can you make me an intelligence roll, Winston? Although this is a boat, there may not be any fonts available this time.
Intel.
Throw him overboard.
Roll 99.
Yeah, that's a fail, so that's good.
All right.
My intelligence is 80, if that helps at all.
Yeah.
I rolled 99. I've got a feeling that's a crit fail.
Well, okay. Can you roll me a d10?
Eight.
Great. Ooh. Okay. So, what I'll say, it'd be a bit mean to do this in downtime because you're technically in downtime. What I'll say is you just want to flee in terror away from this book. But given how much you're running around and screaming and just sort of making a beeline for the stern of the ship, you attract enough attention that you are basically dragged back to your room and basically locked in.
It's coming.
With the book.
It's coming. Don't leave me with the book. No.
It doesn't last very long, this bout of madness. It's only a couple of hours.
You'll be fine.
But afterwards, you are exhausted, and you sleep for a lot of the rest of the voyage. The second bout of madness you've had from a book, Winston.
Is Winston usually like that? Is he?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So now we're down 52. Okay. As for the rest of you, well, Winston obviously as well.
Did I get any other sanity? Sorry, I missed the last bit of that there. Did I lose any more sanity off of that?
It was just that 7, yeah, just the 7 points.
I'll go for that.
Yeah, you don't lose any more during a bout of madness. It's just kind of like a role-playing thing, I guess. So you are now on 52. So obviously, apart from that, you get your development phase. So of course, Perry, for you, you'll need to roll up your luck. What I'm going to do as well is give you another 40, like a pool of 40 skill points to put where you please.
Okay, thank you.
Do I get the chance to read the book? Because I just wanted to. I rolled a hard success.
Which one did you want to read?
I'm still trying to read this French one.
The French one. And you got a hard success?
Yes.
Then yes, you can.
Do we get to roll to upgrade the skills we've ticked?
Yep. So you obviously, because you have survived the session, I'll obviously got some rewards for you as well. You get to do all of your skill ticks, so you get to potentially upgrade those. and get a
What's
bit more.
how much does it upgrade by if you succeed? You've got to get above your current
You get,
score.
yeah, you roll above your
God.
percentile, you get a D10 more.
10.
Unbelievable. Right, I'm just rolling to skill up. I've done 3 crit successes in a row.
What, 0 1s?
0 1, 0 2s, you know, like unbelievable.
Do we do that
It
on our own? So, Jason,
Mhm.
the rolls and modifying and stuff. Do we do
Yep,
that on our
so
own?
you do your
or
luck,
call us?
you do any skills that you've ticked as well.
All right. No, I just was asking if you wanted us to do that one person at a time.
No, it's fine. Just do it now amongst
All
yourselves.
right. No more luck for me.
So that's not going up. That was
Yes.
never in doubt. That's going up.
Actually, what I'll do before doing the book as well, I'll go through what rewards you have gained for the American chapter, but I'll do that obviously once you've
So luck just works like a skill upgrade, doesn't it?
yeah, same, exactly the same.
And you don't do it for sanity, do you?
No, but you're going to get a load of sanity from
Yeah.
because of things you've done. You can also if you can give me good reasons, like good sort of justification, I'll allow you as well to either learn a new skill or increase an existing skill on top of what you've already done. But you'd also need to do a power roll to pass because you'd be sort of doing it intensely.
Okay. I would like to flirt with a soldier on the ship and get him to help me shoot fish.
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
using him. I'll dump him.
Okay. Still, it's going to take long hours each day to get particularly good, especially if it's only fish that you're shooting at. Can you give me a power roll, Francoise?
Oh, yes.
You passed. Yep.
Hard
so
pass,
you-
in fact.
Oh, okay. You get an extra D4 added to that skill.
So I'm sorry because I was standing up to retrieve a die. So you said that these 40 points we can use them to upgrade.
Not you, just
Not
Perry.
me.
Just
All
Perry
right.
gets the 40 points
All right.
because he's kind of
So-
coming in as almost like a baseline PC. So just to balance it out a little bit. For you, Arthur, if you can give me good reason, you can do what Becky's just done and try and increase an existing skill or even learn a new one within the confines of the ship.
No, but maybe one thing that I'd like to do is to have a conversation maybe with the crew or my acquaintances and friends in order to get better in my interpersonal skills, maybe like persuade. Is that a thing? Could that work?
Okay. Yeah.
To be a little bit smoother in the talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few sort of smallish parties on the boat. I guess it kind of depends on how much you want to spend as well. Like if you want proper first class quarters or something like that. So yeah, I could say that. Yeah, you take the time to try and do small talk with other people and
Yeah, maybe over a card or a dice game.
Yeah,
the
that too.
evening.
Gambling. Okay, can you give me a power roll, Arthur?
Yes. Power roll. That's a 13 out of 60. So that's a hard pass.
Yep, so you get a d4 as well, added to persuade.
That's a 2. Thank you.
Winston, anything for you?
To be honest, given that I am still recuperating from that head wound, and after my recent sort of running around the ship, I think if I actually said to the crew, could it be possible that I go to a nice quiet place and fire a gun, might not come across the way it was intended. So I think I'm just going to lay low on this one.
Okay. All right.
So stealth then.
No, I mean, my instinct would have been to try and do as Becky's doing and go shoot some fish and sort of raise my firearms a bit. But after that bout of madness and running around the ship, I don't think they're going to let me near a gun. So I realistically, I don't see it happening. So,
Oh, you have just reminded me about that, but I will do that after the break. Do you need some right now, or shall I hand out sanity points first?
Let's do sanity points.
Sanity points. Yeah,
sanity, please.
Yeah.
Let's go into the break on a high.
Bear in mind, for those of you who completed the chapter unscathed, so Perry, you've still got your sanity. Like, just starting off with that. What is that, by the way? What is your sanity?
Sanity is 65.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a strong one.
And luck is 45.
45, okay. And what's your HP?
13. Oh, sorry, that's magic. Oh, no, hit points as well. 13.
13, okay, cool.
Saucy.
Right, so for those of you who did survive the chapter, you get lots of juicy sanity coming to you. So, right. Firstly, you solved Jackson's murder. Each of you get 3 sanity points.
All right.
Also, by getting Hilton Adams exonerated, you get another 3. Also, for exposing Robson as a corrupt cop, you get 2 sanity points. Makunga has been neutralized, at least for now. Whew, you gain 6 sanity points.
Wow.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's like I was looking through these earlier. It's like you're getting so many sanity points back. Obviously, you can't go above 99. The cultists have also been broken up, sort of, scattered. So you get 2 for that.
Hello, Brayden, by the way. You just joined.
Good day.
Hello! Woo!
It is like 6 a.m. over there. So
You're just in time to see leveling up and a break.
it'll get in time to get a coffee or whatever. Also, you did manage to bash a few monsters, so you also get some rewards for that. Not the hunting horror, unfortunately,
No.
but you did do it with the zombies, aka the Simba. So for that, you get another 3. And what I'll do is I'll give it to all 3 of you rather than say the person who killed it gets the 3. To be fair.
Right, because me and Winston weren't even there.
They weren't even at the session.
No.
Yeah, that's the point.
But I'll say that the 3 of you get it. And also, more collectively so, you defeated the creature in the pit to a very innovative way.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What's that? Oh, that's a D10. Very
That
nice.
cost us a lot of sanity doing that.
It did. So you get 4 for defeating the Chakota.
Yeah. Sweet.
That Chakota.
So, if I'm not mistaken, we are gaining 23 sanity points.
I haven't been keeping count, but that sounds about right.
I'm on 96.
Woo!
Holy shit.
You're gonna need it.
I just
Hold
want
us
to
up.
say we
I'm
went through all
81.
that shit, and I now have more sanity than Perry, who hasn't went through any of it.
Yeah. Well,
Because we-
you've beaten back the darkness, so it hasn't
Oh, I get this campaign now. I get this campaign. We're the only ones that are sane, aren't we? It's on the character sheet. It must be true.
Okay, Arthur, what's your sanity now then?
My sanity is currently at 81.
81. Vincent?
Winston is at 76,
76.
which, considering
And-
he took that big hit for fucking 7 points from
Yes.
reading that book, that's not bad.
Yes, indeed.
Talk to the hand.
And Winston still has his bonus die.
And Winston still
Yes.
has bonus die because you know what? I'm a skinflint.
Lovely jubbly. Okay, let's take a quick break and then we'll do the book and arrive in England.
Okay.
Good stuff.
We'll be back very soon, people.
Yes. So we have another super fan join us at the crack of dawn. Thank you, Braden, for being fantastic. Perry's avatar there as well, although if you're just listening, then you won't be able to see it, of course. But yes, Phil wasn't supposed to reveal his name yet. He even said he was going to keep Johann's name up. And I was like, oh, fuck. They're going to realize at some point, and of course they did. But yes, going to England. England.
And I would like to take this opportunity to bring Stephen up. Phil is not playing a clergyman. I don't care that his name is P. Astor. That's Stephen. Blame him.
I know, but I've already cracked 2 jokes about Perry's name already.
Hey, I didn't go with my one, which was to ask Perry if he was a Mason.
So for all those new watching, other ways you can have fun with this crowd is on Saturday nights. We do a game of Corporation, and also on Thursday evenings, we play Prize Fighter over on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/prizefightertv, because one TV wasn't enough. Okay. I've been reading a French book while I'm shooting fish.
Yes. You've been skimming Selections de Livres d'Yvon. So you did, you've managed to gain quite a bit more from what you did before.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just double check what you already know. Okay, so you know it contains various sort of spells and things like that.
And I hard passed it, so
yes. So you basically you cracked enough of it to get more now, given again it's sort of old archaic French. But you think that this is a commentary to another book called the Liber Ivonis, which is Latin. Winston might be able to help you translate that, depending. But essentially, you know that the original book was written by a sorcerer, sort of in the distant past, and this is almost like a kind of a commentary on what his findings were.
Ooh, lost one.
We have lost Giorgio. Okay, well, I'll put this up anyway. Oh, here we go. He's coming back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's okay. You also get a bit more about the author Gaspard du Nord. Basically, he was actually a sorcerer himself as well, self-proclaimed, from a place called Avarogne, which is a region in south central France. The actual sort of commentary he's written is very sort of elliptical and didactic. Talks about ancient and contemporary theology, magical rituals, fantastic history and things. The author focuses upon the lives and magical discoveries of several antediluvian sorcerers in a kingdom called Hyperborea, with a particular emphasis on Abon, the supposed author of the original work. Abon apparently entered into some sort of pact with a powerful being known as Sethojue, granting him both greater magical abilities and access to arcane secrets. Other powerful beings and species are mentioned, but only in passing detail. They include, kind of like the Narcotic Manuscripts, it's sort of a race of Ophidian magicians, and a malevolent and immense white worm is also mentioned that brought Hyperborea low in some icy apocalypse. It's all very dramatic and stuff like that. The author also boasts not only of his own magical studies under this wizard called Nather, but also of his defeat of his former master. The author claims that his purpose is to give instruction to the novice magician, but he often obscures his meanings in allegory and stuff like that. Still, you definitely get the impression that you could possibly learn some spells within, and quite a lot of them appear to be based around summoning some great beings to your aid. But again, in terms of learning this, it will take a long time. However,
Summoning great beings, it is my experience of these things so far that this is a custom madness, and I probably ought to destroy this book.
I'm looking at the wrong element, aren't I?
But now I find cultists in France.
How much sanity do you lose? Sélection des livres divins. You gain 4 points of mythos.
Haha, catching up with you, Ronnie.
Yeah, but the more mythos you get, the more sanity you can potentially lose. You lose 4. 4 sanity points.
I'm all good.
Indeed you are. Okay, cool. So that is the Sélection des livres divins. What you can get.
Just a question on the rules regarding the mythos
Yes.
points. Just to see if it's changed between 3rd and 7th. In 3rd, 4th edition, how it worked was the maximum sanity you could have was 99 minus your mythos score.
Yeah.
Is it still the case?
Yes. So if you got 5, let's say,
That's a good
your
point,
maximum sanity
Maximum would be 94.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. I was going to say I did read something, and I suddenly thought, hold on, do we have to adjust anything again? But no.
No, I narrowly missed out.
All right. So sailing is fairly smooth. So, like I said, you not like I said. You start traveling 2nd, and you get there. Yeah, so it takes you about 9 days. So you arrive on Wednesday, the 11th of February. Nearly Valentine's Day. Of course, you go to Liverpool. Now, given I'm a kind keeper, essentially, and also because I forgot to say earlier this session, in terms of weapons and things getting into England, Perry will probably know more about this than any of you. But essentially...
No, you're right. I'm British, but I don't know anything about England.
Well, you're a doctor, so you don't normally take them on you, I suppose. Maybe you do know a little bit, but basically, in terms of firearms, the only thing you can really get away with is shotguns because they're not considered firearms. But there are a couple of ways around this. So you can, for example, you can either try and purchase a shotgun while you're there, and Perry would maybe have a good idea of where to sort of look for that, especially as most of you are not English. You are tourists, almost.
Is this in the book? Because I didn't think handguns were banned until Dunblane.
I did.
The sale of them, yes. Bringing them in from other countries is a whole different matter.
Fair point.
Firearms, yeah. Okay. It's actually offering you a luck roll as to whether your bags are searched. So let's do that.
I'm fucked.
Now, honestly, if you make this luck roll, you deserve to keep all our guns in it.
Well, I critical passed when I was trying to fail my rolls during character downtime thing.
I've succeeded in mine.
It is here in my handbag. There you go.
Hands it over. 36. Pass.
Okay, so yours for now is confiscated. What about everyone else?
I made mine.
85 out of 25.
But that's for a handgun. What about my rifle? I can't really sneak that in.
Since I'm
Might be in your suitcase.
Not really, no.
A rifle, that's it.
The other alternative, which you know from experience, Perry, is you could always, pack your gun and just say that you're passing through to somewhere else. The only problem with that is you can't then access your gun whilst on English soil, like from customs.
I can certainly do it with the rifle, but keep the handgun.
Being the uncultured swine that I am, can't I maybe try to keep my gun because I was once part of the Royal Army? So as an off-service military?
That is sometimes an exception, even to this day, I think.
You could try and persuade customs.
That's what I'm going to do. Listen, I served with your father. Please. Nope. Here's my gun. If you want, you can keep it and sell it. That's an 85 out of 45. No, 87 out of 47. So still, please, keep it. Give it to your grandchildren.
Yes.
We still buy other guns here, though, can't we?
Well, like I said, there are ways of purchasing shotguns, for example. If Perry knows about a black market or something, they could potentially be going down that route.
That's actually pretty funny that we are allowed to carry shotguns and not firearms.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
We're not allowed to carry them.
Well, yeah, you'd definitely be frowned upon if you were carrying a shotgun in a city, over your shoulder sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they're not considered firearms. They're normally things that farmers use,
Yeah, they're considered farmers' tools.
The shotguns will be carried quite openly in the country.
Yeah.
In the country, yeah, but not in cities like Liverpool or London.
No.
For example. So when you get into Liverpool, it is, as you can probably expect, especially if you're British, it is sort of fairly rainy weather, but it is fortunately a lot milder in comparison to the terrible snowstorms in New York. So it's just more sort of grey and drizzly. And when you disembark, if you want to stay at a hotel, if you want to stay and sort of do some research while you're here, you can. Or, of course, you can head down to London. There's easy sort of train travel you can do.
I have checked the train times, and if we're going to research this cult, apparently we must get an hotel here. Only I don't know if they have a good one.
Probably not in Liverpool.
Let's slight an entire city. I thought that was corporations' beef. I didn't think we did. I didn't think we did slighting cities on a Monday. I'd leave that to a Saturday.
Liverpool's quite rich, though, as a city.
Yeah.
Big port.
It would have to have a decent hotel at this point because it is the port for all of the tourists.
It's a major hub.
All right, okay, I take that back. And since I
have no idea what it would be.
Let's have a look.
Posh Hotel 1920.
Because then it'd be a major passenger and cargo hub.
Ooh, Compton House, possibly. Yes.
Adelphi Hotel.
Or Adelphi, yeah. Compton House was famous for housing American guests.
Oh, no, sorry. That's a TripAdvisor review of a 1920s night. The Great Eastern. Apparently that was one.
But in any case, you get a hotel fairly easily.
Oh no, that's
Yes,
just
I know.
street.
Stephen just reminding us as to how Liverpool made a lot of its money.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, it was a slaver city. So, in terms of researching then about Mr. Crompton, I'll need you to do me a library use, but I will give you a bonus die. Because, of course, you were on British soil, so you're far more likely to find stuff about him over here. So, anyone who wants to do that.
So how does the bonus die work?
Roll the d10s twice, take the best one.
Okay.
It's the same as usual.
Nope. I don't know shit about my native soil. Nothing.
Without needing a bonus die at all, I've done an extreme pass.
Who at?
Oh my god.
La-di-da.
I'm extremely passing at everyone, quite frankly. That's why it's extreme. I'm just doing a pass at everyone. Sod it.
Okay, so again, I'll put this all in the drive afterwards. There's quite a bit that you find, though. Essentially, you sort of go back into his history and do it like that. There's a few sort of books on his local town, things like that. There's a few sort of newspaper clippings and so on. But essentially, he was born in Lancashire originally in 1774.
Okay.
He was the fourth son of a minor noble who served as a lieutenant in the 28th North Gloucestershire Regiment. And he was seriously wounded at the Battle of Alexandria, which you sort of knew already.
Yeah.
There's a few scattered references as well mentioning his art, because he was an artist for a while, but his efforts were unsuccessful. He even tried going into sculpting a bit later, but that didn't really work either. Before he was commissioned into the army, he was basically the black sheep of the family. He was first sent down from university, then he was bankrupted as part of like a failed investment scheme and stuff like that. Even after he returned from Egypt, eventually he was embroiled in some sort of scandal, and that's when he was confined to the asylum. He died there in 1807.
1907, I would hope.
1807.
1807.
Yeah, because he returned in 1805.
Ah.
And then, he died a couple of years later. So, you also find some stuff on the court proceedings around his institutionalization. Following his implication in the disappearance of a number of children from the Gilbert's Union workhouse, where he was employed.
Okay, that's just dark.
I mean, some of this is fluff, to be fair.
Yeah.
But essentially, it looks like it was a pretty big scandal. He tried to conceal some deaths and things like that. But I'm just skimming this bit as well. Crompton definitely had very erratic behavior, which he didn't hesitate to show in public. Basically, the only paintings that you can find that have survived are his earliest ones, and they are either in private collections or small museums. His themes are pastoral, and his talent is fairly marginal at best. However, in terms of what they are, two paintings in particular are quite interesting to you because they are of Egyptian scenes.
Okay.
They are held by the Walker Art Gallery in Liverpool, so you could easily go and have a look at that. Donated by the estate of Montgomery's nephew Eustace in 1878. So if you do go and look at them or look, around them.
Yeah, I'll go and see them. Yeah.
They are vivid. They are skillfully rendered depictions. You think of the Plateau of Giza. Including the Sphinx. The Sphinx is there as well in the foreground. One by day and one by night. If you want, Winston, you can make me an archaeology roll.
Yep, that's a pass. Just a standard one, but a pass.
So you think that he's depicted it at the area at the end of the third dynasty, so just before the construction of the pyramids.
Okay. I sort of note to myself that I am sort of impressed, intrigued by the fact that these are rendered so well, given that his previous art was not well received.
But you think everybody is born an expert? He obviously started as a beginner.
Or he was very, very inspired for these ones.
Or possessed.
Well,
it all dates back to the same time as all these other ancient cult things. They all seem to be before man and all this stuff. And, well, the pyramids. Man built those pyramids. I bet women did too. Women probably would do a better job.
Okay.
Today's episode of Call of Cthulhu is brought to you by
feminism.
Give it a tick. Francoise, you can have a bonus die.
For the feminism, yes.
For the feminism.
That's what we like.
It is part of the character traits.
Yeah. Works bang on.
Yes. I spend most of my time suffering, and occasionally I have to just point it out to you. Because I cannot hold it in anymore. The rest of the time I just suffer you and your failures.
Suffer me in my what?
Failures.
I thought you said fairies there.
Yes, it is like you are away with them.
I was going to say there's no fairies here. They're across the Mersey. There's fairies across the Mersey.
Your face, Becky, is worth 1,000 words.
Sorry, there had to be one Jerry and the Pacemakers reference in this if we're going to be in Liverpool.
So, that is what you find in Liverpool. How long do you intend to stay there before moving to London?
Not long, this city stinks.
I'm only asking because two of you still have major wounds, so of course you do have the choice.
I'd like to stay a few days just to try and rest up, because I've got a feeling, given everything we've went through so far, I've got a feeling that we're going to need a little extra help, and I need to be better than nearly broken at this point.
Yeah, it may be also worth a shot to reach out to the Mahoney fella and ask him if he's willing to reach us in Liverpool instead of us going to London.
Well, we could send him a telegram.
Yeah, that's what I was
We're going
saying.
to go to London anyway. Why make him go to the effort? No, I think we should just go to London when we are ready. But perhaps we can trace down these Compton's relatives, see if they are still an active cult.
Yes, in that case, I would like to spend a couple of days resting.
Well,
because if we're going to start looking for a possibly active cult, I'd like to feel a bit better.
You can leave the difficult stuff to me.
So, just to remind you from what you read before, Winston, in the book, the cult was quite quickly, stomped down. So there wouldn't be any activity now unless, I don't know, it came back again. But certainly, for
he had grandchildren. His grandchildren donated a painting, so he had grandchildren.
I'm more intrigued by this Black Pharaoh reference. Every time we've come up against a cult, there's never been a particular name of a deity. It's always been some descriptive, father of maggots, black pharaoh. Sounds like wrestlers.
But all the pharaohs are black. I don't understand.
Which is why I find the reference. It's why I find the reference so intriguing. Why make mention of the black unless it has some significance? As you say, they would all have been darkly skinned. So why why reference black pharaoh unless there's something specific about that descriptor? That it refers to something other than his skin color.
So you're saying a dual meaning of the word black?
I'm meaning it could be the black could be referring to something other than his skin tone. Because if all it is a reference to his skin tone, as you rightly point out, they were all that color, so why highlight it? Unless it's referencing something else. Maybe at a point, maybe he wore black clothing. Maybe.
Okay. So how do you expect to find more in Liverpool?
That's a blooming good question.
So, how about you stay until the following Monday, the 16th, if you want to do another of resting.
I'm slightly gaming here, Jason. I apologize for that, but I'm hoping to get a bit because I've still got that headwind.
I did wonder. Okay, so you and Arthur can make me con rolls.
Okay. Yes. Also, guys, I'd like to rest, as Winston said, but we should also go to London as fast as possible to reach the London Library, because we can find the Equinox disease there.
We cannot sit here changing his nappy and also go to London. We have to make up our mind.
Yeah.
I've made my con roll, by the way. To keep up with the analogy, I've successfully changed my nappy.
Okay.
No, my con is a fail.
And throwing the contents into Francoise's direction.
Did you get a regular success?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing amazing.
Okay, so
I only need one damn point.
Yep, so you get another D3 HP.
And I got one damn point. But that does take me to 6, which is half of my full.
Yes.
So that means I can take that major wound off.
Yes, half or more. Then you can untick. So now you're no longer major wounded, which means that your healing would be 1 HP a day. Arthur, unfortunately, the fact that the stitches were coming undone beforehand back in America, it's just taking longer to heal.
Yeah, I got a regular fail.
Yes, unfortunately.
Doctors make bad patients.
However, on the 16th, you catch a train down to London. I'm assuming you don't want to stop anywhere before reaching London.
It took us a long time to get him on the bloody train. We're not bloody stopping now.
Okay. All right.
Monday. You said it was Monday, the 19th.
Monday the 16th of February.
16th.
It's just another manic.
Yeah. So you arrive around sort of 7:30 at night. So it'll be dark by this point. Still plenty of lights on. Again, sort of light drizzle at the moment. Of course, Arthur, for you, this is familiar territory, being from London yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have any family left? Do you have your parents here? Or
I don't know about parents. I do know actually that my my wife and my daughter are dead, so I don't
Yes.
believe I got family here anymore.
I was going to say, if they turned up, that'd be a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in
Also,
case you
given the
wanted to-
fact that I'm 49, I don't actually believe that
Yeah.
my parents will still be around.
That's a fair point. Okay, no problem. So yeah, it's potentially, depending on what sort of hours Mickey works, it might be a bit too late, but um, you never know. You do have his address to the Scoop.
I do believe it is worth a shot since we are already out. And do I still have my London house?
That is a good question. I was wondering about that because haven't you been away? Did you go back to London after Peru?
No, I did not.
No, I didn't think so. No, so potentially, possibly not.
Depends. What was your credit rating before Peru?
Before Peru, I do believe it was
average rating.
about 40.
So either your landlord or your bank owns it now.
Yeah. It's going to take some conversations with the bank.
All right.
Potentially.
No, I was just thinking that it could be a good alternative to pay for another hotel.
Taxi,
I had
Savoy,
to.
please.
Here's what you do, Arthur.
Yes.
Here's Arthur. Here's what you do. You go
Enlighten
to
me.
the bank.
Mhm.
You try and negotiate a deal, and if they are reluctant, tell them that you're going to have a friend stand outside with a sign saying, "And they serve me in here, and I will stand outside that bank with a sign saying, they serve my kind here, and see how much business they lose."
Wow.
Sounds about right. Thank you.
Honestly, in that time period, that would be a kiss of death. Possibly for me
That's-
as well, but it would be a kiss of death business wise.
Yeah, it'll last about 3 minutes before the police turn
Yeah.
up, I would imagine.
So, is the Savoy going to
Yes,
be a thing? Are you going to stay at the Savoy?
I am.
No.
I don't care what the rest are doing. That's where I'm staying.
I can't afford that.
I don't
How
believe I
much
can
is
afford it
how
either.
much is the Savoy
It's too much.
for a basic single room for the evening?
I
It's
can
a
also get the
luxury
border room.
hotel in the Strand.
Yeah, can I have the border room? That's maybe all I can afford.
Maybe. I don't even know if the book
There is
has
a bankroll in some of this.
the Savoy.
You can stay at the Ritz if you prefer.
Bloody hell!
Oh, accommodation. Here we go. I mean, there's lots of different choice here. What you could do is there's sort of less salubrious places, of course. There is also the option if you want to stay in a B&B, although they are slightly out of London.
No, stay within London. I think it's going to get silly enough without us traveling in and out and in and out and in and out of London.
If you want something a little bit lower price than the Ritz or the Savoy, you have got the Cavendish or Langham hotels or Grosvenor Court.
I like
I
the.
don't believe I can actually afford a room at the Savoy.
What's the kind of prices, Jason?
It doesn't say on here, which is a little bit annoying. But again, like kind of like the Waterford Astoria, there'd be a big variation. Some of the highest rooms in the Savoy would go for a lot of money. And of course, you're in British pounds at the moment.
Yes. Good old imperial pounds.
Yeah.
None of this metric nonsense.
Really confusing system.
So I'm sure like the top end would be sort of going to 15-20 pounds.
Several librum. Yes.
Yep.
Actually, no, several libra, which is the
Yes, libra.
plural of librum.
But you know that there is also always, you know, the thing of okay, yes, you're in London, so it's a bigger than New York even this time, but also high class, therefore potentially more noticeable if foreigners were to stay there. But it's up to you.
I want to go for something mid. I don't want to go for something too inexpensive because I want somewhere that would have a safe that can store the books.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
on the same page, I do
That's
believe.
nice. The Savoy, they'll have a safe. We can give all the books.
Yeah, I mean something. I mean a B&B or something that's on top of the travel. I mean, you know, some cleaner comes in and gets nosy and has a look at the book, and all of a sudden they have a fucking massacre in their hands because they've been reading the fucking books and going nuts. A little light reading, yeah. The woman was last seen wearing not a lot as she ran down the street screaming her damned head off.
Yeah, mid range would be okay. I think.
Yeah.
Mid range.
Yeah, Savoy for me, please.
Okay. Savoy for you. So shall we go for the Cavendish for the others?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, actually, where was that?
A bit closer than a B&B.
Yeah, I don't. B&B is too much of a security risk. Plus, if we're traveling outside of London, we got to go in and out and in and out and in and out. I don't want to do that. I want to be where the action is, so I can die quicker. I don't want a slow death.
But we're
I've
regretting
seen
saying that
slow
later.
deaths. They're not nice.
Well, all I'm saying is Elias didn't take the top hotel when he went to New York, and look what happened to him.
That's interesting logic there.
Besides, what we need money for soon will be going to Egypt, I think. And then £3 will take you for miles and miles and miles and last you years and give you a mansion.
We shall see. Okay, so
Also, I'm
Obviously-
spending Elias's money. And when I run out of that, I'll spend your hands.
obviously you get checked in at your respective hotels. And yeah, Arthur, you notice this in particular, given you've not been in the country for a few years. The place definitely has more of a feeling of glamour about it, especially in central London. But given that you're not a tourist, you can also see that there are places that are rougher around the edges than perhaps they were when you were there last time. You think there may be almost like an undercoating of something that makes London look a little uncertain as to where it's going to be going in the future. Maybe, you know, is it going to keep its high status that it did before? Yeah, so it gets to around 8 o'clock. I've just double checked the address actually from Mickey, and it is Fleet Street. It's where is it? It is a sort of small third-story building on Fleet Street. In terms of transport, there's various ways of getting around. Obviously, there's taxis like you did before. The underground does exist, although obviously not as many stations as there are now. Autobuses, not autobuses, omnibuses with the double deckers and stuff that run during the day. They'll have stopped by now. So yeah, plenty of ways to get around. So, are you planning to see if he's still there, or maybe wait until the morning?
We wait.
Well, given the topics that he's writing about, I do believe that maybe is still office hours for him. So I think it's maybe worth a shot just to pop up and ask.
They will be
Then maybe we can come the next morning.
they will be really busy there at the moment because this is when they will start the printing overnight for the next day.
Yeah, still given the fact that if I understood correctly, he's a journalist, not an editor. I don't believe he will be directly involved in the printing of the papers.
No, I just wondered if it'd be easier to get in when they're not actually that busy.
All right. Yeah, we may try and see. Is that okay with you all?
Yeah, we can go for a walk.
I think it's worth. I think it's worth it. The only thing that makes me wonder about whether he'll be there or not is newspapers went to the presses a lot earlier because the presses were slower and they needed more time to get the papers out. So the office might be shut because they're already printing out tomorrow's edition. But it's worth a shot.
Does not stop them working for the next edition.
No. True, he could be chasing up a lead.
So you head on over to Fleet Street, which, if you know about the Demon Barber, it does look a little bit eerie down here, but no sign of Demon Barbers. But in any case, the drizzle has stopped now. And when you get there is a light still on, a couple of lights. And you do notice that it appears Mickey is still there, working the midnight oil.
I'm decking anyone who looks like Johnny Depp.
No,
not the way he looks in Sweeney Todd. I'm just decking anyone who looks like Johnny Depp.
Fair dues.
Then I'll put standing orders in for Tom Cruise lookalikes.
Well, he doesn't look anything like either. But once you've explained who you are, he does let you in. So, Mickey, he's got sort of dirty blonde, sort of slight ginger hair, and he definitely has a bit of an Irish accent to him. And he says, "Well, I wasn't expecting you to come this time, but feel free to come in. Yes, you're Jackson's friends, aren't you? Jonah told me about you."
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
we're Jackson's friends, and this is Perry Astor.
Yeah, pleased to meet you.
All right.
He's talking about
Charmed,
John and the
charmed.
editor, though.
No, I'm not an editor. I'm one of the head journalists of the Scoop. But
No, I said the other Jonah, the other, an actual editor. Yes,
well, he's a publisher.
publisher. Fuck it. All right.
I don't really have any tea or anything brewed, but it depends what you want to know, really. I obviously, you probably know that Jackson came in here a couple of times back in November to speak to me about cults and all sorts.
You have his notes. The everything that you talked about, you have it written down.
No, I don't have a secretary.
Well, why don't you come back to the hotel with us? We can have a nice tea or coffee or whatever you feel like having there, and we can have a nice, quiet discussion in comfortable surroundings.
Sure. Jackson did want to have a look at our records, going through past articles, so it may be worth you popping back in the morning.
Okay.
If you're interested, but yeah, I'm just finishing up now, so I'm happy to have a whiskey or two.
Okay. As soon as he's ready to go, we can at least get to Skinny. I mean, we've got to come back in the morning anyway, so we may as well get the Skinny just now and ingratiate ourselves to him.
So my hotel then.
He's definitely under the impression as well that you're buying.
Well, of course, it is us putting questions to him.
He's a journalist. He's going to drink quite a bit.
So your hotel then.
Well, fortunately, no prohibition here.
That's very, very true.
Much more civilized country.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to have what they're having. I'm going to have a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make it clear to the barman that I would like him to do long pours for Mr. Mahoney.
I understand, sir. Not a problem.
Otherwise known as
pause between drinks.
Yeah, the long pour is an old barman's trick, where it looks like they're giving them a lot when in fact they're actually giving them less than.
Yeah, so he sits down. He definitely looks a bit out of place, given what he's wearing. He's obviously not used to being, the Cavendish is still quite fancy for him. But he sort of hunches over. He's quite overweight as well, so he sort of sits down and he's sort of fiddling with his.
Actually, that raises a question: Do I have any problems getting in here? Given,
I would say for now no, because given sort of the quality of your clothes, your trunks, things like that.
in other words, money talks.
Yeah, money talks. For now, you haven't really had any problems.
Okay.
What do you want to know? I guess, start from the beginning.
Oh, that'll be handy.
Excellent place to start.
So, yes, November he came in. I hadn't seen him for a while. I had no idea he was even in London. It was all quite a surprise, but we had a chat about he'd done some research. Apparently, he'd been to Kenya, I think it was, somewhere in Africa. He said he was researching into a cult. He never said the name of the cult, but he said that it was one that did horrible rituals, killing people, cutting them open, things like that. But he was keen to look through back issues to see if there was any kind of activity or stories that would, catch his eye, maybe have some links in there. And again, as I said, you're happy to do so tomorrow if you want. I got a little bit of a recollection about what Elias found. 3 articles, all quite different to each other, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
I can't really remember their contents, I'm afraid. Some go back a little while.
We'll be able to find them tomorrow, I'm sure.
One of them, I do remember it involved these. I don't know if you've heard about the Egyptian murders. It's quite a big thing in the news here at the moment, especially in London.
No, we've been at sea.
Oh, so you right, just right, obviously. Essentially, over the past 3 years or so, there have been killings specifically of Egyptians, whether they've migrated over here recently or not. It always seems to be Egyptians who've been killed, and they're all killed in the same way, which makes perfect for a murder mystery novel, doesn't it? But they And he sort of remembers that you're there, Francoise. So he sort of kind of takes a breath first and kind of warns you. But he says the
I
victims
have
are
seen the other side of hell. Just talk.
all right. Just being a gentleman. They're beaten. I imagine with some kind of large club or something blunt, and then they are stabbed through the heart with some sort of either a spike or something metal. And every single time it's done like that.
And you
But
say this is all in the news recently? Why? Is it all
well,
happening now?
it's a big thing. It happens in waves. It's been going on for 3 years, and they still haven't found the killers.
Right.
In terms
So,
of if you've got anything for me, I'm happy to give you, well, $1 for that.
Out of interest, police investigation. I assume that you've been following it.
As much as I can, but Scotland Yard won't just let me into their premises. They're also offering for if you have any information on the killers. But it may be worth possibly speaking to them. I know that the officer who was in charge of the investigation mysteriously disappeared. And so somebody else has taken over. He's been doing it now for about a year. Oh God, what was his name? Barrington, Carrington, some name like that.
Barrington or
Barrington, Carrington, one of the two. I'm sure it's mentioned in the article actually.
and these murders are all around London or a particular area of London?
They just appear to be all around London. I don't know if they've pinpointed anywhere specific where it's happening more.
How many has there been?
Oh God, now you're telling me.
No, I'm asking you.
You know what I mean. It's tricky
Only
to
the
remember.
ones you say.
It must be now in the region of maybe 40, 50 total. Not all at once, obviously, but it's been happening over 3 years.
It's sounding very much like a cult.
Well,
different to what you found in New York.
Oh, yes,
What
the
did
whole
you-
Egyptian thing.
what did you find in New York?
A different cult.
Really?
Slightly different methodology. In fact, very different methodology. But again, some.
You see him start looking around, and if you're talking loudly, he sort of does that. And
No,
says,
I think the moment he talked about beating and stabbing people, we went into very hushed tones.
I'm only saying because I know that Jackson, he was, in particular when he came to see me the second time, a couple of days later, he definitely was freaked out at something. I think perhaps he was being watched.
We believe he
Sometimes.
may be right.
Oh, that was another thing. He mentioned he had was it 1 or 2 appointments with some foundation?
Ah, yes, I think I know it. The Penhew Foundation.
Yes, that's the one.
Yes.
He definitely had one. Then he came. I can't remember if he was going to get another one, but he did go and see them.
What do you know about them?
What do I know about them? Some extremely posh, rich guy runs the place. Some Egyptology, I think. I know that they funded things in the past. Whether they've got anything going now or not, though, I don't know.
Going back just a second to the previous topic, Do you recall anything particular about the time of the disappearance? If it came about once a month, twice a month, or anything like that?
Not really, no. Not that I can think of. It was definitely varied. So sometimes it would be one body found, sometimes it was a few.
In Ireland,
but-
we found it was tied to the moon.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Phases of the moon.
Would
Oh.
you have a astronomical chart, one that charts the phases of the moon by evening? It would be interesting to check the dates of these murders with that
be the same.
information.
It could be the same if it is the same cult. I mean, I doubt it, but I am getting the feeling that these cults are connected, but I think they operate in different ways.
We do quite often put sort of the main moon phases on the newspapers as they come out. But I don't know. I'd have to go back through, but that would take ages. Whether you've got the time, I don't know.
I think we have a little time.
If we have the list of dates of the murders and dates the moon calendar, I mean, it is worth checking this because if it could connect the two cults together, if they are connected, there is definitely a connection that Elias found because he went from one cult to the other whilst investigating the same thing.
He definitely seemed to be interested in those 3 articles, but in terms of if he followed them up, if he had time to, I don't know.
He must have felt he'd finished here in London or found something overwhelming evidence on at least one of them.
I don't know. Certainly the last time I saw him, he wanted to leave quite quickly.
Yes. But he would not have been scared away, so he came to New York. He telegrammed us, went to New York, we arrive in New York, he's dead when we arrive. So that is the timeline, isn't it? He went from here to New York.
Yes. He did do the telegram, though, whilst he was on the ship rather than in London.
Okay. So, he was very excited when he telegrammed us. He'd uncovered evidence that he never got to share with us.
All right.
So
now he's got you into the whole thing, then.
Oh, it is not my first Elias adventure. Oh, neither is it for Winston or Arthur. Perry here is about to learn the hard way what all this is.
I've already had a taste of your adventures, so.
You have?
I was at the party, wasn't I?
Oh, yes. You're a casualty. So
I think there's a number of things. I think, yes, we need to go and check these. I think checking the dates with the calendar of the moon, I think that's worth a thought. It may not lead to anything, but I certainly think it would point to something if they did all happen at a similar point in the lunar cycle.
Yes, it is worth checking.
Especially if it happened on a new moon.
But you said these murders are spread out all over London.
Aye.
That is already a different pattern.
North and south of the river?
I mean, some bodies were found in the river, of course. You know, it's a pretty big dumping ground for bodies, but I don't know if there's any links. North and south, whereabouts. But then I don't know everything about
different pattern, or it's simply a case of the cultists here have in New York, they were very much focused in on Harlem. That was their hunting ground.
Right.
Maybe over the years they have simply expanded. Here in London, they've expanded to a larger hunting ground.
No, I think the difference here is in Ireland, they were just grabbing locals, whereas here, the victims are all Egyptian. That is a different method already. They are going for a particular target, and it must relate in some way to this Black Pharaoh.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I want to check the news clippings. It would also maybe be worth talking to the police officer in charge to see if Black Pharaoh has come up in their investigation.
It could be a bloodline thing.
Could be. It could be perhaps a title that's passed
title?
down.
But think of the size of the family tree over the time since the Black Pharaoh in the research, and what has happened now.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
time.
There is every possibility that the cult that established itself in Liverpool merely migrated down here.
It is possible.
Which leaves the question: the cult that happened in Liverpool was over 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves me with a very, very disturbing question. If these cults are linked somehow, is there a reason why we are seeing an uptake in activity with these cults, where they are more in the open now? Are they building towards something? Are they going towards something? Is there some goal in all of this?
Brackets, definitely brackets. Jason keeps checking dates. But it could be it could be reporting as improved without improvements in communication technology.
Yeah.
I wonder
for those people watching at home, player tip number 1: when the GM is stroking his chin in a malicious manner, be afraid.
I'm growing my beard out. I'm just making sure the ends meet.
It's I wonder if they're just killing Egyptians, or there's particular Egyptians.
Yeah, I do believe that ethnicity should be something to look into.
Oh, aye, that goes without saying.
40 or 50 is a very high number. If they're all
Over the
involved.
span of
over the course of 3 years, yeah. But there's a possibility that you may find a period where the killings were more intense.
Mm-hmm.
Because that does ring a bell. It seemed like that they were just kind of, articles were being, blown out on the press for a little while, but again, I can't remember exactly when that was or anything.
Yeah. I'd be very interested to know dates and locations of the murders.
I'd be very interested to find out if there was a spike when Carlyle was here.
Oh, who, the Playboy?
Hmm.
Do you know if there were any murders when Jackson was here?
No, I don't think so.
It had occurred to me that the Penhew Foundation could be, how to put it, into the lion's mouth.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of wrestling. We teeter on that question now as to whether the Pelletier Foundation is a front or whether they're a possible ally.
Either way, they have a strong vested interest in one side or the other. We just do not know which yet.
Oh yeah, I think before we make any approach to them, if indeed we do make an approach, we need to research them more. We got to get an angle.
Well, I can certainly point you in the right direction, but I don't really write very much about them. Society magazines probably your best bet, again, because they're so rich.
That's fine.
I have an idea on the Bennu Foundation.
Might be worth checking with local universities as well.
But Winston, did you
and museums?
Being an archaeologist, have you heard of this foundation? Have they got credentials in the area?
Would I have heard of them actually?
Give me a no roll.
That's actually idea roll.
A no roll.
Where is no?
Education.
Oh,
Education.
my
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Education. It's a pass. It's just a pass, but it's a pass.
No education. Yeah. So what I'll say is, of course, you heard about them as well when you were reading about the Carlyle expedition in the past papers, because they are mentioned in there. You know a bit about them. They're definitely a legitimate organization of Egyptologists, experts, you think, but quite different to you and very sort of cliquey in themselves. But yeah, they've funded a few expeditions out to Egypt. Again, you don't know if they're doing any at the moment, but they are definitely loaded, and they have some rather nice artifacts in their establishment. Although it's not a museum per se, it's
private
more
collection.
for kind of well, let's say semi-private. Like some people are allowed in, like if they've got a genuine interest in archaeology or if they plan to go out, sort of thing. But, you could probably get in, no problem.
I would hope so. On the face of it, the Pelletier Institute are very much legitimate. They do fund research in Egypt. Again, it doesn't. We've seen legitimate being abused before. I think we need to do more research. We definitely need an edge. If they are an ally, they could be they could be an invaluable one. If they're an ally.
I was hoping to use our connection to Erica to open the door there. And
Yes.
perhaps with me being in a separate hotel, I could be the canary.
If you're sure.
No. But it was what my thinking was. Perhaps I could do that, and you could check the cycles.
As an archaeologist myself, I have a professional curiosity of their artifacts. That would definitely get me in the door.
I'm sure if we telegrammed Erica Carlyle, she would maybe send us a letter of introduction we could pass to them because of our connection through our brother.
That was my thinking.
Yeah. I agree with all of that, but I want to do more research on them first. The reason is if we if we turn up with a letter mentioning her brother, if they're a potential ally and they know that he's off, then that might scupper things. If they're a potential enemy and they know we're investigating, that's going to signal them.
Well, we could use a cover story that we're having an expedition to Egypt.
She could be part funding. Perhaps we're looking for extra funding.
That's why I was at our party that night, because I wanted funding for my next expedition. So she does sponsor expeditions.
It's reasonable. I think tomorrow the first thing we should do is check these articles and find out what Elias, what excited Elias.
I'm frightened by the sound of it.
Either way, I think we need all the information we can get at this point. I do not want to see us have another one fall as Johan did. However bravely he did.
Yeah, also basically we don't have anywhere else to look. So the articles should be the first thing that maybe open us to different leads on where to go next.
I think we should send the telegram now, though, because it would take time.
Yes. Yes, we can always, if we get a letter of introduction, we can always hold back until we want to use it.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you want a full letter, obviously it'll take time to write up, but then it's got to come by boat.
Well,
So-
telegram and ask for a letter. Oh, telegram and ask for a letter of introduction.
Yeah, but if it's a full letter, again, it's going to come by boat.
The
Yeah.
boats were quite quick, weren't they? Because I think the postal service ran from London to Bristol and straight out. London and Bristol were train, and then a boat from Bristol.
You might be right.
It'd still take a few days.
Yeah.
It would take a few days, yeah, certainly. But I think they were quite fast. They were faster than the passenger liners, anyway.
Yeah.
You can always send it by email.
I think the word you're looking for is could be faster than the passenger liners. I think every voyage was its own adventure with the weather.
Depends how many icebergs you've got to dodge.
So, and if a boat ships, and if if the ship sinks,
I mean,
A bell tolls in Lloyd's.
it's the butterfly effect.
Back then, they'd have tolled for every ship, but I can't remember when they changed it to just tolling once a day. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bell rings for every ship that goes down, or used to for every ship that went down, but nowadays it's just tolled once a day.
I knew they used to do it for every ship. I didn't know they changed it, actually.
Yeah. Well, they had to.
Wow.
Just sort of
A lot more boats in the water these days.
Is that just boats? Is that just boats generally, or just passenger liners?
Insured vessels.
Well, I ask only because if it includes military ships, then yeah, I can understand why they stopped doing one for every ship. Come sort of First World War and certainly the Second World War, convoys getting off to left, right, and centre.
So, night's drawing in.
I'm going to head back to my hotel and get myself a good night's sleep because I've got a feeling we're going to need it.
Yep, I'll shrug on a big heavy coat and follow you out.
Yeah.
Are we at our hotel? Or are we at Francoise's?
Yeah, we're at our hotel. Francoise, the one who's walking because she didn't want to have tea at hers.
No, you said he was going to drink like a fish. It cost 3 times the price at Savoy.
That is correct.
Which you're walking home by yourself
No, I get taxi, of course.
in
Not a
London.
lunatic.
Coolio.
Hello, Bob.
Who? Hello, Bob,
Bob.
N. My keeper is here in chat. I'm not looking ahead in the story, I swear, lol. Ah, I see.
I
No
mean,
Discord.
you can use us, Bob, as what not to do in your next session.
We are the Canaries.
Yes. Okay, so that's a good place to stop, unless you want to kind of see the articles first and maybe think about them over this week. It's up to you.
No, I mean we can read the articles, or depending on. I mean, I suppose that a library use check would be required, but if we found them straight away, I believe that's indifferent if we read it now or during the week before next session.
Well, it's more as players if you want time to mull over what your next move is.
Yeah, it's fine with me for once that I don't have to work tomorrow morning. I mean,
Get in.
finally. Well, I do believe that we could read them now and then read them back on our own in order to make up our mind. But if the other players think it's good time to stop, please, we can stop and resume next time. It's up
I'm
to you
all for
guys.
sort of making a check and getting the articles. I'm very wary of the time, so I'm
I think we need the articles before we can make a decision what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should at least get the articles, and then we can read them at our leisure during the week, and then we can.
Yes, that was my suggestion. Just kind of help you out a bit.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got the books to go back to as well. Okay, so
Out of curiosity, I just read up on the bell. It's no longer rung at all because, well, only for ceremonial occasions because it developed a crack.
Ooh.
that's what I get for searching Call of Cthulhu streams while folding laundry at work. Yeah, Bob, get off the stream. We'll get spoilers. Okay, so yes, so it does involve a library use roll, but just in terms of roughly how long it takes. So yes, if somebody wants to make me a library use roll when you head in on Tuesday to the Scoop.
That would be an extreme pass.
Oh, okay. So it only takes you an hour or so. So
That will do nicely, as they say.
Oh,
Must have a very good filing system.
Oh, look, he left his post-it notes. He invented the post-it note and stuck them to these articles.
yes, exactly.
He's
Okay.
written on one of the files in big letters. Dear folks, this is what I was looking at. Signed Elias.
Basically, yeah. Okay, so here we go. The first article that Elias found. Shocking canvases craze. Local artists' monstrous scenes mock surrealists. Now collectors can buy savage scenes which rival or surpass the worst nightmares of the Great War, but which are far more exotic than that grim business. London artist Mr. Miles Shipley's work is being sought out by collectors who have paid up to £300 for individual paintings. This correspondent has seen a number of the works of artist Mark Shipley and finds them repulsive beyond belief. Maidens ravished, monsters ripping out a man's innards, shadowy grotesque landscapes, and faces grimacing in horror represent only a fraction of Shipley's nightmarish work. Despite their repellent content, these works are conceived and executed with uncanny verisimilitude. Mr. Shipley's imagination is sublime, and it is almost as though the artist has worked from photographs of alien places, surely never of this earth. The artist reportedly is in contact with other dimensions, in inverted commas, in which powerful beings exist, and says he merely renders visible his visions. Mr. Shipley is a working-class man without formal artistic training, who has nonetheless made good where thousands have failed. Art critics say that Shipley provides an English answer to the continental artistic movement of surrealism, whose controversial practitioners have still to convince John Bull that the way in which a thing is painted is more important than what is painted. A tip of the hat to Mr. Shipley for exposing those frauds. The second one.
Oh, shit.
Oh, ship. Police baffled by monstrous murders. Killer beast shot but still alive? Derwent Valley residents, shocked last month by 2 murders and a serious assault on a 3rd victim, are still without a satisfactory explanation on or perpetrator of the dreadful attacks. At the time, Lesser Edale farmer George Osgood and resident Lydia Perkins were torn to shreds in apparently unrelated murders on consecutive nights. On the 3rd night, wheelwright Harold Short was nearly killed, but managed to drive off his attacker, which he described as a grisly creature. According to Lesser Edale Constabulary, a rabid dog was shot and killed on the night of Mr. Short's attack. The police believe the matter to be closed. Nevertheless, local residents have subsequently claimed to have seen and heard a strange beast lurking about the area. Reportedly, the good folk of Lesser Edale still endure sleepless nights due to the bizarre wailings of the beast on nights of the full moon. Readers of The Scoop are reminded of their esteemed journal's long-standing danger protocols and are advised that the picturesque cloughs of the Derbyshire Peak District have been declared to be a zone of high danger. Residents of the Midlands are advised to remain indoors at night and to report all mysterious happenings to the police and to The Scoop.
Right.
Again, a link to the moon.
I'd be very, very intrigued if that particular one happened during a full moon.
It said they heard the bizarre wailings on the night of the full moon.
Yeah. It's an Egyptian werewolf in London.
Well, that's in Lesser Edale, up in Derwent, so not London. That is elsewhere. And then finally, the one which Mickey touched on. Slaughter continues, reward offered. An unidentified foreigner was found floating in the Thames last Tuesday, the 24th. Another victim in the so-called Egyptian murders? Inspector James Barrington of the Yard refused to comment when asked by The Scoop. Sources exclusive to this journal state that the victim had been severely beaten and then stabbed through the heart in a manner curiously similar to other murders that have taken place over the last 3 years. The connection seems obvious, but New Scotland Yard has yet to confirm that the deaths are connected. Inspector Barrington and his colleagues appear baffled and no closer to catching the heinous perpetrator of these crimes. Londoners cry out, "When will our streets be safe?" Readers of The Scoop are reminded that this esteemed journal has a reward, now standing at £24, for information leading to the apprehension and conviction of the murderers. Be vigilant.
Okay, so first of all, when we get the information, the first thing we're going to do is claim that reward. Just so we're all clear.
Well,
It is
obviously.
only £6 each.
Don't care.
No, I agree.
He'll get us at least one cup of coffee at the Savoy. I meant the entire £24, not the £6 each.
So I do believe that we can ask this Inspector Barrington a little bit more of an insight if he's willing to share it with us. And
Yeah, I
about this, what's it called again? This Shipley's painting.
Yeah, if we can see some of them, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Also because this is completely unrelated to anything we came across about cults so far, beside the other paintings about. From this
I can only assume that maybe, and I am speculating, perhaps what got Elias so intrigued was whatever these paintings were, what they were showing. Maybe he recognized something in it, in one of these paintings. Maybe a painting looked very much like what we witnessed in Peru, or something he saw in Egypt. Just
other than that, that's the only link with Crompton, which is a known cult leader, which was more than anything.
Yeah. There's a few strands there. Definitely.
No, the Strand is a different road. That's where my hotel is.
Oh dear. Cool. So, on that note, let's end there for today. Lots for you to think about, and again, I'll put all the bits in there, and I'll put the books into the light reading document, which you now know where it is. I hope you enjoyed that.
I did.
Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you also to people who tuned in and watched. And
Yeah,
got a
thank you,
sneak
everybody.
peek coming in.
Lots of. I will say goodbye to Braden. I will say goodbye to Steve.
And
I'm losing track of everyone's names. It's Steve, Braden, Bob,
Michael B, if he's still there.
Michael
B, yeah.
Michael B.
I think that's everyone. That's everyone who spoke up.
Steve is saying he will see you on Thursday, Becky, for Prize Fighter.
Oh yeah! If you just tuned in, go to twitch.tv/prizefightersTV on Thursday at 8 p.m. Well, go there now and subscribe, obviously. But go there on Thursday. We're going to have some fun in the arena and kill Steve.
Braden says, "I'll say goodbye to Bob for you after I scold him."
Thank you for staying with us, Michael.
Yeah.
You too should come on Thursday.
Glad you enjoyed.
Failing that, come next Saturday, where most of this group will be playing Corporation. Giorgio doesn't come. He says he's had enough of me.
A very different experience.
I never said that.
Corporation, very, very different thing altogether.
No, I think you said. I think I said, well, if you wanted to, Giorgio, and you said I'm busy.
I said I had too many campaigns on my end and not enough spare time to add another one.
Yeah, you said, doesn't matter what time you run it, when you run it, no.
I'm exactly the kind of person to say something like that in exactly those terms. Yes.
You have to come for just one session and do a cameo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I should.
Because it's Corporation is wild.
It's going to be a different theme next week. It's going to be a horror theme.
Ooh.
I decided season 3 was going to be horror. Well, the thing is, we're taking porn as far as it'll go.
Yes, that's true.
As far as it turns to horror.
I think it's as far as YouTube would let us go.
No, we
Yeah,
passed that a
yeah.
long time ago. YouTube just hasn't noticed. No, so I thought let's change it up. So I thought I might go horror for season 3. We'll see. I haven't
Interesting.
decided completely yet. I might think of a new way to do porn. Who knows?
Jesus Christ. Okay, on that note, I'm ending the broadcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.